Hello, my name is Irving Shatner. I'm the director of the Counseling Center for Growth and Recovery, and I want to welcome you to this brief yet informative webcast on the 3 keys to good emotional health. So let me tell you a little bit about emotions first. We tend to ascribe values to emotions. We feel a number of emotions during the course of a day, even during the course of an hour or a few minutes, and it's quite possible that many of us get hooked onto a certain emotion. And it may be a good or not so good emotion. We tend to categorize them or place a value on them as either positive or negative. Now, what I've come to realize over the course of many years is emotions are not really negative or positive, but we give a value to them. So we make certain emotions positive, and of course, other emotions are negative. So I'll give you an example. Feeling happy, feeling calm, feeling content, those are generally what we consider to be positive emotions. Maybe resentment, jealousy, anger, rage, those kinds of very strong emotions, depression, anxiety, those are the kinds of emotions we tend to consider as negative emotions. So I want you to consider this for a moment. What if you were to just look at your emotions as just that, emotions? Informative in the sense that they're giving you information about what you're feeling at a particular moment in time. So getting away from this concept of an emotion being positive or an emotion being negative. And granted, we tend to gravitate towards those emotions which we consider to be positive, and we tend to avoid or negate the ones that are negative. And sometimes we negate the ones that are positive, and our mental filter is such that we tend to look at things in a very negative way, and we may be flooded by negative emotions. So I'm going to give you a 3-step process, but I want you to first have a framework to work from. And the framework that I'm going to tell you is emotions are neither good nor bad. So let's start from there. Emotions, again, are neither good nor bad. They're just informative. So here's step 1 to good emotional health. So the first step is identify the emotion. What am I feeling at this particular moment? Am I feeling happy? Am I feeling sad? Am I feeling glad? Am I feeling resentful, angry, frustrated, maybe anxious or depressed? And now that I know what it is I'm feeling, I put a label on it. Now, after that, I can basically decide where I want to go with these emotions, because we have a lot of different emotions during the course of a day. So once I identify that I'm feeling anxious, say, or depressed, something that normally we would consider to be a negative emotion, now we reframe this, as I told you, as I suggested, that we now look at it as informative rather than negative or positive. It just is. It's an emotion. It's telling us something about ourselves at any particular moment. So we're feeling anxious or depressed, for example. We've now identified what it is we're feeling. Now here's the thing. Step 2 is a little different. Once we've identified the emotion or acknowledged the emotion, in other words, this is the way I feel. Okay, that's step 1, or the key 1. And now I go on to step 2. And step 2 basically says, why do I feel the way I feel? Or why do I think I feel the way I feel? And you may have an answer. There may be something that triggered you, maybe a phone conversation, or a conversation that you've had with somebody, or something that you've read, or a thought that pops into your head that kind of triggers this emotion. And now you're feeling the way you feel. So you might have an answer. Why do I think I feel the way I feel? And if you know, great, it's informative. If you don't know, don't worry about it. You can revisit later. You'll probably experience that emotion again, or you can just let it go. And step 3 is very, very powerful. It's worked for me, and it's worked for many of my clients. So step 1 is, again, identifying what the emotion is, putting a label on it, saying this is the way I feel. Step 2 is, why do I think I feel the way I feel? Do I have an answer? And if I do, great. If I don't, no big deal, okay? So I have some information to go by. And step 3 is, what can I do to get out of that feeling? So, for example, if I'm feeling anxious or feeling depressed, what can I do not to feel anxious and not to feel depressed? So this connotes that we have a certain amount of choice. And neuroplasticity and the neuroscience of the brain basically shows us that we have the ability to kind of form new brain connections, and we have the ability to change the way we're thinking and change the chemistry of our brain. So if this is something of value to you, knowing this information, you may want to put it into practice. So basically what I'm saying is we can change the way we feel by kind of letting it go. And the analogy that I use in step 3 is imagine clouds above. You have clouds, and it's a cloudy day, and then eventually it may be an hour, a few hours, or maybe next day, the clouds lift. The clouds basically pass on through. So if you were to think of clouds as emotions, so you can choose to either hook onto that cloud and become that emotion, or you can let it pass. All right, that's step 3. So step 1, you've acknowledged or you identified the emotion. Step 2, why do I think I feel the way I feel? And step 3 is like, now that I know what it is I feel, and I think I may know or may not know why I feel the way I feel, is this a place where I want to sit? Do I want to sit in that feeling? So if I'm feeling anxious, do I want to sit in that anxiety? Maybe for a few minutes, and maybe not at all. But at some point it may no longer be valuable to you. It may not be helpful for you to kind of be flooded in that emotion or the emotion of depression. So that is the difference between, say, feeling depression and letting it pass, or becoming that depression. Now you're being flooded. So if you grab hold of that cloud, and rather than letting that cloud pass on by, rather than letting that emotion pass on by, you're becoming hooked on that feeling, and now you become that feeling. So rather than experiencing depression, you become that depression. Rather than feeling the anxiety and letting it float on by, you become that anxiety. And you have to ask yourself the question, what purpose is it going to serve past a certain point? You're going to be inundated with this feeling of gloom and doom and fear, and it's probably not a good place where you want to go or be. So step 3 again, or the third key is, now that you recognize what you feel and you think you know why you may feel it or you don't, you can choose based on this notion of neuroscience and the fact that we can control certain aspects of our neurochemistry by the way we think and the way we approach things. So now what we can do is we can let that emotion float on by, or we get hooked on that feeling. So if you find that that feeling is no longer valuable for you, or not valuable at this moment, or you're becoming flooded in that very strong emotion, and it's not necessarily positive or negative. Again, we attach a value to it. We make certain emotions negative, and we make certain emotions or feelings positive. So it's just informative, but it's not a place where you want to be, because you're recognizing that this feeling of anxiety, gloom and doom, depression, whatever you want to call it, is not a place where you want to sit for too long, because it's not healthy for you. So now you're going to let it, much the same way as the clouds, pass on by. You'll let it float on by. You'll acknowledge it. You'll say, why do I think I feel that way? And now I'm going to make a choice either to hook onto that feeling and become that feeling, be entrenched or flooded in that feeling, or I'm going to let it float on by, because I have that capacity. So that's my frame of reference. Now that I know I can change the thinking, I'm going to do something which is a concept called opposite to emotion. And opposite to emotion, or O, the letter O, the number 2, the letter E, opposite to emotion means if I'm not feeling depressed, or if I choose not to feel depressed, or choose to act other than feeling depressed or other than feeling anxious, would that be desirable? And if the answer is yes, albeit for a few minutes or an hour or something, even if it's temporary respite for you, then you will let the clouds float on by, and you will do opposite to that emotion. So in other words, you may engage in some kind of action as well as a thought. You might take a walk, or you might call a friend, or you might go on social media, or you might go to the shopping center, shopping mall. You're going to do something that is going to get you basically out of your head, out of that emotion. All right, so that's what I would recommend. That's basically the three keys or the three steps to good emotional health. So step one, just to reiterate or recap, step one would be just identify the emotion, acknowledge it. This is what I'm feeling at this moment. Okay, and step two is, why do I think I'm feeling the way I feel? Or maybe you don't know. Okay, maybe there's a trigger, maybe you have some idea. So that's giving you more information on what you can work with. And step three is, now that I know what I'm feeling, and I'm feeling that way, and I don't want to be stuck in that feeling, I can, much the same way as the clouds pass and the sun comes out, I can allow those feelings or emotions to float on past. I acknowledge them. I don't deny that they exist. I acknowledge them, and then I let them float on past. I do something opposite to that emotion. I engage in some kind of behavior, whether it be a call, reading a book, doing some meditation, getting out of the house, going for an ice cream, whatever you want to do, going to the movies. Again, it's up to you, and you'll decide what's working for you. Everyone's different. You'll do opposite to that emotion to get yourself unhooked from that emotion. Okay, does that make sense? All right, so give it a try, and good, best of success to you. If you have any questions or you want to know more about ways of dealing with anxiety, stress, worry, depression, any kind of challenge that you're facing in your life, I think this is a good key, technique that you can use. It's worked for me personally. It's working for many, if not most, of my clients. I encourage you to give it a try. And again, don't get discouraged if it doesn't work, as well as you'd like it to. Just keep doing it, and eventually you're going to get better at it. And if you would like some more information, you want to chat with me, or you want to learn more about the therapy that I provide, I've helped many people overcome anxiety, worry, stress, and depression, amongst other challenges in their lives. I look at them as challenges, basically. You're welcome to give me a call at the Counseling Center for Growth and Recovery, and my office number is 561-404-1482. Again, my number is 561-404-1482. So I want to say goodbye to you, and I look forward to speaking to you again during my next webcast. And I wish you a great day, and I hope you put these into practice, and look forward to hearing from you. So take care. Bye-bye.